Alright, welcome to the Ark. Call it the Ark because it's a bunker for the plants, for the fish, for everything. If you're going to try to preserve your plants, and no, it's not an underground bunker, it's above ground, you need sunlight. But we need a building that could preserve our plants and everything we have going with it, and that we can deal with our harsh conditions. Temperatures in the wintertime will get down to about 5 degrees, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, 115 degrees in the summertime, thrashing winds. It would just destroy everything. So I need a building that would work both for the winter and the summer. We had an old hoop house, and well, I'll show you the end results of the hoop house now. Yep, that was not going to last at all. So I needed something with a lot more structural sturdiness, a lot more temperature, climate control. So we came up with this. How I got the inspiration for this? Little shout out for Arktopia. I'll put the link in the channel description in the bottom of my description. But basically, a guy in Saskatchewan, Canada, came up with a 4-season tropical paradise in the coldness of Canada. I'm like, wow, that really worked. I like how he used the sun, how he used insulation, how he used thermal mass. So I started incorporating that into our building. Now this building had to work for 2 seasons that were really harsh. The super hard summertime at 115 degrees, take the winds, take the heat, take it off the plants, and the wintertime to keep the freeze out, to keep everything else out. And I had to build it fast because, as you can see from the hoop house, it was not going to last. We were going to lose everything. So this building was built in 40 days. Ironically, that's how I got the name the Ark. Plus the inspiration Arktopia. I like his name too. But 40 days we built this building, and it's still got a long ways to go, a lot of improvements to go. I'm just going to kind of walk around, describe the features that are in the Ark, and we'll go from there. So as you can see, we're looking down the long corridor. The building is 15.5 feet by 48 feet. It's insulated up on all sides to include the poly side, which is double poly. I'll go over that in a second. We got fans. Here's the cure hut for the tobacco and my plant starting tray area. Now I need to work on this area because I want to do additions on this building, and I'll go over that in a second. So the first thing we got is automatic controlled fans. They're on just simple thermostat plugs that basically kick off at 75 degrees. So that's what should be kicking off here in just a little bit. It's nighttime and it's already around 45 degrees or so. Here you'll see an AC Infinity. No, I'm not affiliated with them, I'm not sponsored by them, but I like the equipment. This is a HEPA filtration box, so I've got a 8-inch intake. I've got HEPA intake from the outside, so it goes through a filtration and it blows it in there. So that's going to bring in my fresh air intake when I do want fresh air. It's on a controller and it's also set for the thermostat. And yes, there's a fire extinguisher on the wall. You live in the Southwest, so you don't want fire. It's a very bad thing. Alright, so now we'll start up on this side. We've got tobacco, obviously, and I'll cover all the plants in another video. But you'll notice the large grow bed. That is a source of thermal mass. I wanted to be able to get as much mass in this building as possible because sunlight is 99% of the heat source for this building in the wintertime. So with that, we'll go where the sunlight comes from. Alright, these windows, there's 6 of them. They're 7 feet wide by 8 foot tall. The top of the ceiling up there is about 9.5 feet, just short of 10. It's double, 2 layers of 6-ply poly plastic. Seal it in pretty good. Yes, they move around, but it gives me a really good little buffer zone for the air. I do realize that's the source. That's about the only place in this building that I'm losing heat when it's super cold outside. However, I'm also generating the heat that comes in through the sunlight. So when the sunlight comes through, especially in the wintertime, right at the solstice, comes right through in here, hits this north wall, and you can see where the black is, and the windows I'll get to in a second. But the black is basically lit up by that sunlight, to include the fish tanks, the big pots, the gravel, basically everything in here. It's irradiated by the sunlight, provides the sunlight for the plants to grow, but it warms everything up throughout the daytime. And then come nighttime, all that heat is irradiated back into the building because of all this thick thermal mass. And that's also a reason why you'll see my other video why I use pea gravel inside my grow pots for the aquaponics and not clay. It retains more heat and it works great. We've got more fans. So center fan that oscillates through. It keeps my plants from getting leggy and circulates the heat very, very well. So sunlight comes through the windows, heats up everything throughout the day. It works great. It works absolutely awesome. Now the coldest it got in here during the winter time was 50 degrees. There was one night that it hit 50 degrees. Other than that, it was averaging about 56 degrees, 55 degrees. Perfect. Now there was a couple days that we had some major clouds come in. There was almost no sunlight coming through. So there's my emergency backup. One little Mr. Buddy heater. On one occasion we had where the outside temperature was about freezing during the day. It was cloud covered. This building was getting itself down to about 62 degrees. I didn't want to turn on the temperature controllers for the fish tanks, so I just used the Mr. Buddy heater. Got it up to about 72 degrees. 9 o'clock at night, chilling out in here, 72 degrees. Turned the heater off. That was the night where it got down to 50 in here, and it got down well below freezing outside. So it works. That's the wintertime issue. Now these back windows right here, this is a wintertime problem. I decided, since, hey, the sunlight's coming up to the top of this block right there, I can just leave that part open as windows, do a double poly on it like the front ones. Nope, I was losing too much heat there, and heat loss on both sides was not acceptable. So the solution was temporarily put up some foam, insulate it, and that worked. It kept the temperature up, so we solved that problem. I may or may not keep the windows open because I'll get to that part in the summertime as far as bringing in light. So we'll go back to where we're at, talk about wintertime. Wintertime, yes, these are banana plants, and they survived where temperatures outside got below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And they survived just fine in here, nice, cushy, comfortable. Now with the aquaponics system and this place being sealed up completely, it's just about perfectly airtight. It's pressurized with that HEPA intake system, which actually has an outflow pipe up there, which is a pressure plate. So that pushes out the air. So when that comes on, it's pressurized, pushes it out. You can actually see where the plastic will bow out with that air system. And it's like being in a Mars capsule. It's kind of awesome. Now this one's a summertime feature, and I'll start going on to summer from there. Now in the summertime, this building will get warmed because the outside air will get warm. The great part is that the angle is going to have it so that the sun is not going to be shining through these windows. There will almost be very little sunlight coming through the windows. Now that's a problem and also a solution. Excuse me. The problem is you need sunlight for the plants. But it's the solution because that sunlight causes super heat in the building. So my roof is actually designed so that it holds up and it's reflective from the light itself. I'm not going to climb on the roof right now, but it's got a multi-layer roofing system on it, which is metal white roofing that's reflective. It's got an air gap, it's got polyfoam that's built up in, it's got the wood decking. And then later on I'm going to put in some insulation to the top to get even more. Basically I'm making an igloo cooler. I'm just making a nice little cooler that's all sealed up. The idea is I need to keep all the heat and a lot of that solar radiation out, but I want some sunlight to come in. Since we don't have that sunlight in the summertime, this place is outfitted with grow lights. So over each of the pebble tanks, I've got 100 LED watts of grow lights, multi-spectrum, and then there's 36 smaller grow lights that cover the entire room from top to bottom all the way through. And it keeps it so that there's nice and bright. It's actually pitch black outside right now, and where I'm walking around here and it's like daylight. It's terrific. That is going to cost me some energy and some electricity, but that's what my solar for. So this place is multi-dimensional, it's multi-backup, it's got everything. Now taking advantage of solar right here. In order to do some heat dump, I just put on a nice little 12 volt fan system. It's actually a RV or camper type fan system, works great. I can just open it up manually, so on those days where I wanted to dump a little bit of heat at night, all on its own, no problem. It does it nice and slowly because at night it can get cold, so I want the heat to dump slowly. But when the heat builds up too much in the day and that sun's just barren in here nice and bright, solar panel's activated, turns on the fan, boom, there you go. There's my heat dump. On top of the heat dump that's coming from the pressure plate. I have this one working on an outflow, so if I actually need to hermetically seal the building, I can. I just close this off, open up the air exhaust system, and then on top we have blinds, so we can actually lock down the building and limit our solar intake by putting some bamboo blinds down. and basically just let the building cool off by limiting the sunlight. So a lot of natural controls, a lot of controls to basically give us more adjustments. It means us physically being here to do it, but that works out pretty dang well. You see a lot of plants in the background. I'm going to do another video, so I'm not going to go a long video today on this. I'm just going to talk about the building. We do have that movie from the lizard, Ringo. We do have a lizard in here. So yes, we had a lizard survive the wintertime. Never hibernated. Sometimes he hangs out in a little Barbie car, sometimes not. But yeah, we got a pet in here. He kind of came with the territory. So when I built this building, I had to build it very, very quickly. So there is a lot of improvements to make to it. It's functioned. It held up for the wintertime. But here's some of the things I'm going to do to make it even better. Now we have a small work area that we use for seating and a lot of stuff. It's actually kind of crowded over there right now. So it takes a lot of the space out of the building. I'm going to put probably 16, maybe 24-foot addition onto the far side of the building. And that's going to be with the double doors. So that way it's sealed in. And we're going to have, so we have the doorways. On the other side of that will be the seating room, the work room, and so forth to keep the humidity in this room. And that way it's a nice pleasant area to work there, even when it's hot or cold, either which way. On the other side of this wall, well, this wall is going to end up coming down, so there's going to be an addition put on the other side there. Why? We have too many trees. This worked too good. There's trees everywhere. And when I get into the plant tour, I'll show you why. So I'm going to make this building 1/3 bigger. So we're going to push out that wall as a pole barn design. Like I said, it's not a supportive wall. So easy. I can just pop it out, build onto the building as it's going, and it's going to get even bigger. So if you're looking at building something like this, you can start small. You can actually make it segmented into small segments. Each of these segments right here are about 8 feet. Let's put 8 feet between my posts. That was what was required. So basically what you're looking at right here is going to be an addition behind that wall of either another 2 to 3 sections, probably 24 feet. I got the space for it, and we're probably going to have even more trees. They're just coming like crazy. As I said, we're going to add on the planting rooms. I'm going to add on some solid poly panels on there. I just need to figure out where to order them from, how to get them, how I'm going to have to redesign my windows, but eventually they will need to go in. I'm going to add cement. Yes, cement. Must have cement. Gravel is great. It's only a matter of time before I'm going to put up a video talking about that I got some mouse that got in here or something going on. Gravel is great. It works great for the thermal mass. I'm not walking in mud. But cement, it's definitely going to help this building out a lot. I'm going to insulate the ceiling even more because I realized this winter time I could have had it much better insulated. I'm going to rework the back wall. With the addition, I'm going to push out and the electrical will be expanded out. Now for the electrical, I'm pushing 1800 watts out of this building with everything fully on. You'll see why about the aquaponics and everything, why I made it so it's so efficient. Rather than working multiple pumps and everything else, I've got one pump working this entire system. Everything runs pretty good. And just for the sound effect, I actually have that off right now. Otherwise you can't really hear me very well. So that's it. That's the structural tour of the Ark. As you can see, it's a project that's in progress. It's grown very, very well. There's some tobacco as a little prelude to how big some of these tropical plants can get in a matter of months. And then all the way down to celery. So you name it, it's in here. It's worked for us. Let me know. And stay safe.